right, congratulations and welcome to the very last lesson for this course. We are going to be quickly looking into two topics, public opinion or propaganda and social change. All right, so please pay attention because these are quite interesting topics. They are quite brief but then interesting. Okay, so public opinion or propaganda and social change. So let's look at the intended learning outcomes as usual to see what you should be able to do at the end of this lesson. First, you should be able to explain the term public opinion with reference to its formation, importance, and measurement. All right, this covers for the first aspect, public opinion or propaganda. The second one is that you should be able to define the term social change, describe its sources, and the various resistance factors to social change. All right, so these are the two things that you should be able to do at the end of this lesson. All right, without any waste of time, let's now move on to the definition of public opinion or propaganda. Now, public opinion or propaganda can simply be defined as the aggregate views of people or on a particular issue or government policy at a given period. All right, usually these aggregate views, all right, these aggregate views is usually on issues of a public concern or government policy. All right, or government policy. So when people begin to speak about a particular issue in general and it has to do with a government policy, then you know that expression is what is termed public opinion. Okay, all right, so it's as simple as that. Now let's look at the formation of public opinion. How are public opinions formed? Okay, how do they come about? How do public opinions are made known? Now, the first way public opinion can be made is through mass media. Okay, one of the ways is through mass media. And mass media entails expressions through radio, television, newspaper, and even the contemporary social media channels. All right, so people can actually express their views using mass media. All right, any of the channels, radio, television, newspaper, or even social media. Okay, another one is symposia or lectures. Symposia or lectures, which entails a scholarly meeting. All right, when people gather to discuss issues of public importance, then people can actually air their views about those issues in such meetings. Then we have pressure groups and political parties. These actually are expressions of political views to change government policies or mount pressure on government. All right, so people tends to public opinions tends to build up, particularly in pressure groups and political parties. Then we have Bureau of Information, which is a form of government agency where people can express their views to government, where government can get feedback in order to redirect their policy. All right, so those government agencies exist to have people express their views in form of public opinion in order for them to know how popular they are or how popular a particular policy is. Then elections. Elections is a very key element in terms of public opinion formation, where political parties tries to inform or educate members of the public, particularly on public issues that has to do with leadership. Okay, so elections, it is the education of members of the public by political parties on important public issues. Usually it is through elections, all right, that the popularity of leaders are put to test, and so the expression of public opinion is made known through elections. All right, let's now look at the importance of public opinion. How important is public opinion that it must be given attention to? Okay, now public opinion helps to measure government's popularity. Like I said, a government that is losing its popularity via elections, it is being put to test via elections, and of course, if the government is no longer popular, it is thrown out of power. All right. Again, it helps in the formation of government policies. Government policies made easy. Formation of government policies made easy. All right. Governments can, through public opinion, begin to know which policy to make that should, of course, be relevant to both government and the people. Then it's a means of decision making. All right. Public opinion is a means of which the people participate in decision making. All right, it gives them the opportunity to participate in decision making. Then it's a means of checking the excesses of government. All right, this is a very good significance of public opinion, where governments are held accountable of whatever they are doing. All right, so public opinion helps to check government excesses. All right, so now how are public opinion measured? How are they measured? How do we know the true value of public opinion? Usually, public opinions can be measured through referendum. All right. Referendum is a direct vote through which all the people in a society declare their position on any particular issue. All right. If there is an issue of contrary opinion, the people tends to gather and put it to vote, right, in order to know where the majority lies. Then elections, the results of an election could help us to know how popular a particular government and its policies are. I think I have discussed that already. Okay, popularity of a government is put to test through elections. Then we have opinion polls. Opinion polls are methods by which a cross-section of a public are interviewed on a given issue, with a view of identifying and measuring their position on it. Remember, this has to do with a cross-section of the public. All right. Usually, you find this type of opinion polls on television, where people are interviewed and ask about their what their opinions are on a particular issue. Then meeting the people directly. People can be met directly in order to know their opinions on any particular issue. They can be met in the community. They can be met in the villages, and of course, their views can be made known by way of interview. Right. So by meeting the people directly, then public opinion can be measured that way. Okay. All right. So that is it. Now let's take our first class activity. As usual, define public opinion. How do public opinion form? All right, formation of public opinion. Explain the importance of public opinion and describe how public opinion can be measured. We have done all of this. Ensure you have a thorough understanding of those areas. All right, let's quickly move on to the next aspect of this lesson, which is social change. Social change. What is social change? Definition of social change by Wilmot, 1985, in his book, page 174. It means the alteration, this is a key word there, the alteration in the sources or organization of society or its components parts over time. All right, the alteration in the sources or organization of society or its components parts over time. It means to make some difference. All right, to alter things, to change things, to make things look differently. All right, make society or to alter the organization of society. Okay, so social change has to do with those alterations that happens within the society, and by Wilmot, this is his definition. You want to know about this, even when you are asked, can you see the keyword alteration, sources or organization, simply know that it came from Wilmot. All right, now let's see the sources of social change. How can change occur? How can social change happen? The first one by Parson, 1951, is discovery. Right? What is discovery? Discovery is an addition to knowledge. Right? It is adding new things to knowledge. An addition, something new that has been added to knowledge. All right. So once there is a discovery, there's going to likely be an alteration for people to begin to adapt to that new knowledge that has been added. Now, education, which is the process of transmitting ideas, knowledge, and values to individuals in order to bring about a change in their behavior. This is also a source of social change. Remember, the definition says a change in their behavior. So the knowledge gained can influence individuals to change their behaviors. Then invention, which is very close to discovery. All right, it's this time around, this is not really totally a new thing. It's not really totally a new knowledge. All right, it has to do with the combination of existing elements of culture, what has already been in existence, so that something new could be produced. All right, it's more of a drawing from what is existing in order to produce something new. All right, discovery is entirely a new stuff, a new thing that does not really exist. All right, but invention is by combining knowledge of what is in existence in order to produce something new. Okay. All right, now invention can be in two parts: material inventions and social inventions. What are material inventions? Material inventions have to do with the idea and materials available to the inventor. All right, the ideas and materials available to the inventor, as the name implies, material inventions. It deals with the idea and materials available to the inventor, whereas social inventions has to do with the things such as alphabet, constitutional government, etc., that are available to the inventors. It has to do with the social aspect of that invention. All right, I think we have now come very close to the end of the lesson, but before we go to our class activity, let's look at the significance of social change. Let's look at those factors responsible for resistance to social change. What are those factors that will make people want to resist any form of social change, any form of invention, any form of discovery? The first one is the economic cost of the change. How expensive is the change? All right. For instance, let's say we are trying to migrate from the use of PMS, fuel, to the use of gas. All right. If gas is more expensive than fuel, people are likely going to resist that change. Okay. So the cost implication of the change matters a lot. Then early imperfections in the new invention. Usually new inventions comes with a lot of errors, a lot of issues. So once people begin to see those imperfections, they tend to resist the change. For instance, the COVID pandemic, where a vaccine has been produced, and on the administration of that vaccine, maybe a few persons died. People who are privy to that information tend to resist that vaccine. All right, tend to resist that change, that new normal. They tend to resist it. Now, threats constituted by the change, which is very similar to the imperfections. All right, those threats, those factors that looks threatening, may let people resist the change. Strong opposition from concerned groups. When concerned groups begin to protest about a new change, people tend to resist it completely. Then difficulty in adapting to new things. This is a major problem. This is a big factor in resistance to social change. When people tend to find difficulty in adapting to new things. For instance, migrating from the conventional classroom to the visual classroom, exactly what we are doing right now. Some students who are used to the conventional, traditional way of faced one-on-one lectures in the classroom, may find it very difficult to adapt to the visual type of learning. The same way, some lecturers who are very familiar with the traditional type of lecturing, the face-to-face classroom type of lecturing, may not find it quite easy to adapt to the new visual type of lecturing that has to do with technology. Okay, so that difficulty to adapt into new things is a major factor why people resist change. Alright, so we have now come to the end of this lesson and the end of the instructional videos for this course. Let's take our second class activity before we end it all up. Now, class activity 2, what is social change? List and explain the sources of social change. What are the factors responsible for the resistance to social change? We have discussed all of this. Take your time and ensure you revise on these questions. Okay. Once again, thanks for making it to the end of this lesson. I will see you in the very last class where we are going to be revising all that we have done in this course. Thanks again and enjoy your studies. Bye bye.